Morning everybody, welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead, and I hope you guys are ready to talk about sweet potatoes and specifically starting sweet potato slips. It's one of my favorite crops to grow, and my goal over the years has been to grow my own sweet potatoes off of my saved stock, and I've tried multiple ways, and as of right now, in the year of our Lord 2024, I think I found my method, my timing, and everything to get what I want, and I'm going to share that with you today, and I'm going to share with you the entire process, also how I'm managing it when they are a little bit ahead of schedule. So that's pretty important. All right, so this is what we've got going on here. You can see we've got our sweet potatoes going. These are Beauregards and Georgia Jets. Mostly in the front are the Beauregards, and or Georgia Jets, in the back are the Beauregards. That doesn't really matter. So this is a method that I'm using this year. I have done them in cups of water. They smelled terrible. I had to change the water out a lot. Just didn't work out for me. So what I've done this year is I've taken these and I took them and you can see that I buried them most of the way in the soil. I left them out. And we're going to today I'm going to take a couple more of these and move them to the next stage of growth so you can see that process. But the key for this is warmth. They need to stay warm, and so I've had them sitting on this heat mat the entire time, and it's really sped up the whole process a lot. So you can see that we've got them growing, and each day they're now growing more and more, and they're like this one now. You can see how long this is. If I leave it tomorrow, it'll be up here. So you've got to really stay on top of them, and there's a couple things that we're looking for here when we take them to the next stage. So if you take nothing away from this, I want you to know and remember one thing. You cannot take a sweet potato and stick it in the dirt and grow it and get sweet potatoes. You have to start slips, okay? That's really important. So that's what these are. These are all slips. And so what I do is I get them up to this certain point, and then, I got one stuck in the fan. So that one's definitely got to go. And then I cut them off the plant, and then I actually re-root them if they don't have roots on them. I don't think, we're going to check and make sure now, because I've been doing it for about a week now, and I want to see if my estimates are right. But if that's the case, which I'm pretty confident, but like I said, we'll find out in a second, then it's not a big deal if it doesn't have roots on it, because we're going to grow more roots on the slip. What I'm going to do now is I'll just come here, and like I said, this one was getting a little bit long. Make sure you can see, yep, and I'm going to cut it off. And now you don't have to use a big sweet potato. I mean, you can see there's a slip, and you can see how big that sweet potato is. It's about the size of my thumb. So at this point, we're going to take this, and I'm going to pull the bottom leaves off of it. Make a huge mess because I'm doing it one-handed. And then I just simply drop it in this water right here. But I want to pull these up. So I did get some with roots on them, and I'll show you that in a minute. But when I pulled them out before, I had one plant that had roots on them. And you can see the majority of them now have roots growing on them. So this is a viable method. And so what we did is we started roots on it. Let me go ahead and drop this in before I forget, because I need about 40 sweet potato slips for my one bed. So we'll just drop that in there and let it grow. You can come in here and you see this plant here. If I just brush it away, let me get my chopstick. If we start brushing away the soil here, you will see, I don't know if you can see that, I don't really want to disturb it too much. There is a root right there. So at this point, this plant can skip that next stage if we wanted and go to the next portion. I said next portion, but I meant next stage. Sorry about that. So the next stage after the water, you get some roots, is we're going to take it and then we're going to gently put it into, I like to put them in 6-packs just to let them continue to root a little bit. At this point, we're still pretty early out, so I actually next year may need to start my sweet potato slips about a week later, but this way we'll have plenty of room to do it. So plenty of time. So what we'll do is we'll get these, we'll put them in 6-packs. Anything that's got roots on them, we can put them in there, and then we'll get those comfortable in there, and then we can move them outside. And all that's doing is that's giving them more time to grow. And I know a lot of people say like, hey, you can't do that. They'll get root bound and they won't produce. Well, that's hogwash. My first year growing sweet potatoes, I bought them in 6-packs, and I put 12 plants out and got 40 pounds. Last year, I had started my own slips, didn't have enough, so I picked up another 6-pack, and they're hard to find. But I did get them, and that's how I got the Beauregards. And I put them in, and we got plenty. And they were root bound too. But what happened was all of the sweet potatoes grew in this one spot. So they didn't spread out like normal. So we don't want them to get too root bound. So we're going to have to balance back and forth a little bit to make sure that we give them enough time to get a little bit more comfortable. And all I'm doing this for is because once I put them in the ground, it's off to the races. They start growing immediately. It's unlike when you buy them and then you've got to soak them in water, get them rejuvenated and put them in. This, it'll speed it up, so I can harvest my sweet potatoes about a month earlier, which is what happened last year. And then what happens is I can plant my fall garden a month earlier in the same place. So whatever I put behind the sweet potatoes will be able to go in earlier and then just get more of a head start for my fall harvest. So this is all part of the plan, but we had to try and I had to learn the rules, hear what people told me, and then be brave enough to break the rules and then move on. And now that we've done that, I think I've found my method. So it's going to be interesting to see over the years how we do it. And what this allows me to do is, instead of buying sweet potato slips at a high cost, I can get a sweet potato from somebody and grow them. And not only can I get a sweet potato, I don't need a big fat sweet potato to start slips. Like I said, they're about as big as my thumb. And off that one you just saw me get, that's my third slip off of there. So that's 3 plants worth off that small sweet potato. So you can see we don't need a lot. I just put the sweet potatoes halfway in the dirt. You could cover them up all the way, and I guarantee you it would probably work better because you'd already have roots on it. But you got to keep the heat on it, and you got to keep it moist. And when they start growing, you got to be prepared to take them to the next stage to get them prepared to plant. So as of right now, it's the middle of March. We will get these into the 6-packs, and I would say by April 1st, we need to really start figuring out how root bound are they getting, how much space do they need, and when are we going to plant, and when can we make room, which is about probably 2 weeks earlier than I'd like. So we're going to have to kind of work it out. But it's worth it, because I'm going to keep taking slips over and over, and if I have to, the old ones, they just won't get used. It just kind of is what it is. Also, the benefit of me selling plants is somebody may want sweet potatoes and have the ability to start them early, and so we will have some available for them to start early. So we can try all that stuff out, but you can see how this works. So there's 3 stages. There's getting the slips started, there's rooting the slips, and then there's the continuation in soil to root before you plant. And that's the method that I'm going to go with from here on out. Goodbye.